breathtaking undulation. We're underway with FP1 Next Live. It's time for MotoGP. Well, this Mugello circuit really is one of the jewels in the MotoGP crown, the fastest Grand Prix venue on the calendar. Brad Binder steamrolled through the speed traps here last year with a new MotoGP top speed record. Will that go at Stomtage here this weekend? 366.1 kilometres an hour, the South African set on the KTM, down the long start-finish straight. Wonderful venue, great for fans and riders alike. Sector 1 leads you into the hard braking zone, well, the hardest braking on the calendar to San Donato, down through turns 6 and 7, Casanova and Cervelli, the high speed turns 8 and 9, Arrabbiata 1 and 2. The lap completed by Baccini, always important in Moto 3 in particular to get a good drive out of there. A test of the brakes, turn 1, turn 4 and turn 15, the harshest on the front end of these 300 horsepower MotoGP bikes, with the highest tyre stress zone on the brakes on the front end into turn 1. What a wonderful sight that is. It's always wonderful to be in this spectacular part of Italy. Nestled right in the heart of the Tuscany Mountains, we arrive in the heart of Italian motorsport. The Mugello circuit, host of a MotoGP event since 1976, a race won by the late great Brit Barry Sheene. Of course, a circuit that is now owned by Ferrari. And the circuit, which down the years has delivered some breathtaking, memorable MotoGP action. Fingers crossed we get more of the same as Ducati look to continue their unrivaled domination of MotoGP in 2024. On home turf, of course, their HQ in Borgo Panigale, about an hour's drive away from this Mugello circuit. The top 4 riders in the MotoGP World Championship come into this round 7 here. The Brembo Grand Prix of Italy are all Ducati riders. Jorge Martin, 9 podiums in 12 starts so far this season, brings a comfortable 39-point advantage in the championship chase over Pecco Bagnaia, who's been the master of Mugello in the last 2 years. Grand Prix winner in 2022, Grand Prix winner here last year with the hot dog celebration, of course, part of a double win here for the reigning world champion, because he also was victorious in the Tissot sprint. Bagnaia 39 adrift of Martin, 2 clear of Marc Marquez in 3rd place in the rankings. Marquez on this golden run of 5 consecutive podium finishes. So much talk on the track, of course, as the title chase hots up before we head into an unexpected 3-week summer interval. And so much talk about the future of so many high-profile riders off the circuit. The silliest of silly seasons. It's not silly season, it's start raving bonkers season right now, as the world's media try to find out exactly what is happening to some of the big names. In particular, of course, world championship leader Martin and Marc Marquez. 2 aces in the pack in the rider market, you feel, as we head into that 3-week interval coming up very, very shortly. As you mentioned, it's always a pleasure, a privilege to be here at the Italian Grand Prix in this fantastic venue. Probably in terms of scenery, on par, if not the best, ahead of Phillip Island and the Styrian Mountains, the Austrian host, the Red Bull Ring. But as a circuit, it is the ultimate test of rider and machine. A test that this man has passed with flying colours over the last couple of years. Can he make it the hat-trick of home wins here this weekend, as Pecco Bagnaia looks to reduce the 39-point deficit he has in the World Championship? Matt Burt and Lewis Sutherby with you in the commentary box, as always, to kick proceedings off here for the weekend. Simon Crafar down in pit lane. And this rider, Lewis, as he so often does, went from the ridiculous to the sublime in Catalunya. This was in the sprint at turn 5 on the very last lap, 9 corners away from his first sprint victory in 10 months. And then we were looking for that famous Bagnaia bounce back ability, which he delivered and some, didn't he, in the main Grand Prix.
Yeah, he does occasionally make life hard for himself, Pecco Bagnaia, but every time there's a question asked of him, boy, does he come up with the answer. It was something of a love-hate relationship with turn 5 in Barcelona last weekend. This was the part that he loved when he took the race victory from Jorge Martin, a race victory that he certainly needed, not just to keep himself firmly within touching distance of Martin in the World Championship, but just to keep his confidence back where it needs to be, having blown a golden opportunity to take 12 points in the sprint 24 hours earlier. He said after the race, didn't he, that win was for myself, that was for turn 5, the message he was sending, which I think you can all translate if you can read Pecco Bagnaия's body language there. He certainly sees the funny side of that 1 week on. As you say, a formidable record around here, did the double here last year. Of course, Saturdays have been his weakness, but boy, has he turned it around on a Sunday. Did it again in Barcelona.
Gigi Dall'Igna, Ducati boss, who has some very important decisions to take about who will be Bagnaia's teammate in 2025 and beyond, post-race in Barcelona said it was a win that showed why Bagnaia should already be regarded as one of the all-time greats. Now, of course, as you mentioned, dominating off-track headlines right now are the future Martin and Marquez. This was Jorge Martin speaking to our colleagues at DAZN yesterday. There was a first contact with Ducati, and I think it went well. The big newspapers, the big sporting newspapers, Gazzetta dello Sport here in Italy yesterday, well, they ran with the story that Jorge Martin has already won the race for the factory seat alongside Pecco Bagnaia next season. I've got to say, he was bombarded with questions in the TV set yesterday in the pre-event press conference, Jorge Martin, and he did look quietly confident that he had got that seat secured. He said, the Italian media have gone with the story. Of course, it's his ideal dream. It's been his dream to be alongside Pecco. He says he's like what he's hearing coming out of Ducati right now. Negotiations are advancing well. As we said, he does look quietly confident. Marc Marquez, a big statement to you, Lewis. This was you, Marc Marquez, speaking to you in the teammate seat yesterday. Pramac have very good potential, but not one of his destinations in 2025. So the big guessing game is, where on earth is Marc Marquez going to end up in 2025?
Yeah, he also said that he hadn't heard, certainly from Ducati, the same reports that we saw in the Italian media from Gazzetta dello Sport. He's certainly not been told by Ducati that the deal is done, nor has Jorge Martin. He said that nothing has been signed just yet, but the early talks were positive. Marc Marquez has made it very, very clear. Ever since around Le Mans time, he's been very clear he wants a current spec bike next season, so that would be a 2025 spec bike. He's not got that at the moment, of course. He's on a year-old Ducati and doing a fine job on board it. But the key words he used yesterday, speaking to me, were to win the World Championship, you need facilities. A facility being the best bike, the current spec bike, but also ideally the facilities that you get, both in terms of the resources, but also the human resources within a factory team. So Pramac not being an option, I think, indicates one of two things. Either Marc Marquez is switching brands for next season, or potentially Pramac are, because surely if the factory team take on Jorge Martin and Pramac stay with Ducati, well, surely Pramac would have the first choice of GP25s, which surely Marc Marquez would want to be on. So I think a lot of questions will be heading Pramac's way after Marc Marquez's comments yesterday. Does that mean Pramac are going to be switching to Yamaha, or does it mean Marc Marquez is switching manufacturers?
Well, we'll find out very, very soon, won't we? Of course, he dismissed the Pramac option out of hand. He said, well, he speaks a lot of common sense, doesn't he, Marc Marquez? No sense in just moving to another independent Ducati team. Of course, the prospect of him not having the GP25 alongside Bagnaia has lit up the rumour mill about a possible switch to either Gas or KTM or somewhere in the Priera Mobility Group, potentially, maybe, alongside Pedro Acosta in the factory team. What a mouth-watering prospect that could be. The Shark fan club, they're already out in force, enjoying some mixed weather here in Mugello. Last night when we left the circuit, it was absolutely bucketing down with rain. The weather in the Tuscany mountains can be temperamental, to say the least, and there was some proper torrential rain for a good 2 or 3 hours here last night. Still a few damp patches littering the circuit, nothing to really have a major impact on lap times in the early Moto 3 and Moto 2 sessions. As we get set then for the opening 45-minute salvo here in Mugello, 45-minute free practice one, of course, doesn't count towards the qualifying positions if you're joining us for the first time in MotoGP. If you are